All right, thank you all for your patience. We have a voting list, and we will start with House Bill 1, Chair Fraser Hidalgo.
Thank you, Mr.
Actually,
Chair.
I'm sorry. Sorry, since this is our first one of these, I should just say, let's take it nice and slow so we make sure we get it right. Let's give everybody grace, as the Speaker likes to say, as we all get used to the process again. Just a reminder about a couple of things. We'll move amendments, then we'll have substantive debate on the bill. That is the time to debate when we're debating amendments, when we're debating the bill. If we do a roll call, which often we don't, we do a voice vote. We don't explain our votes in committee the way they do on the floor during a vote. So if you have to explain your vote, you want to do that during debate before that. We'll try to do it by voice vote if we can. Those of you opposed, I'll sometimes ask you to raise your hands. I'll read your names to make sure Trish has got them recorded correctly. For bills that have amendments already, so they're already being amended, we also offer the pile-on co-sponsorship amendment. So after we're done with the real business of the bill, I'll ask folks to raise their hand. I will read your names. The appropriate counsel will get up and repeat the names so we make sure we got it correctly. And those who want to be added as a co-sponsor are able to be added as a co-sponsor. I also want to note, in the case of HB1, we did have some co-sponsorship requests from off the committee. Since we're amending it anyway, we are accommodating those, and so we're including those with the pile-on amendment, folks who asked to be added as co-sponsors. I think I got everything, but Trish will tell me if I didn't, and let me turn it over to Chair Fraser Hidalgo.
Thank you, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. It's been 4 years, so I might be a little bit rusty. I appreciate your grace. Okay, I'm here to present House Bill 1. As amended, House Bill 1 prohibits an investor-owned electric gas or combination gas and electric company from recovering through rates any compensation for supervisors that exceeds 110% of the maximum annual salary payable by the chair of the Public Service Commission. The prohibition also extends to the supervisors' compensation paid by the parent company or any other affiliate of an investor-owned electric, gas, or combination gas and electric company. The bill also requires the board of directors of each investor-owned electric, gas, and combination gas and electric company to adopt a company-wide policy placing reasonable cost limitations on specific expenditures and be filed with the regulatory update information with the PSC. Subcommittee amendments. Amendment number 1 makes technical changes. Amendment number 2 alters the applicability of ratepayer cost recovery limitations as the bill is introduced. More specifically, it removes the ratepayer cost prohibition on employee bonuses and related exemptions, expands the applicability of the ratepayer cost recovery prohibition to include parent companies, increases the maximum ratepayer cost recovery threshold of 110 to the PSC chair, which I can talk more about later, but essentially it raises that number, and clarifies vision and dental insurance are also excluded from compensation for purposes of ratepayer cost recovery. Modifies requirements for the company's wide cost limitation policy requiring under the bill and requiring updated policies to be provided to the PSC. Mr. Chair, move the amendments.
Okay, amendments have been moved and seconded. Discussion on the amendments. Delegate Foley.
If I could ask a question of the subcommittee chair. Chair Fraser Hidalgo, you went through that pretty quick. So could you just explain what the differences were with respect to the bonuses being passed through and that kind of thing?
Okay, thank you. So a couple pieces. One is we raised the rate from a board member of the Public Service Commission, to the chair of the Public Service Commission, so that it's 110% of the chair's salary, not a commissioner's salary, which equates to, plus the 10%, $249,812. So anything above that. Just to be clear, so everybody understands, the utilities they can pay more than that. They can pay a salary more than that, but that has to come from their shareholders. And I want to make sure that's very clear because there was some confusion about it. We are not in any way saying what the utilities can pay or can't pay their supervisors, their employees, or their executives. We're just saying that the ratepayer is going to pay for the first, in this case, $250. After that, it's up to them. So that is the big piece. The other thing is, just for clarification purposes, we wanted to make sure that compensation also included dental and and vision. So we have those two pieces. And then furthermore, those were kind of the big pieces. With clarifying vision and dental, and also modifies the requirement for if the utilities wanted to, for example, renovate their office or build out a new office, something along those lines, then it would just have to go to the PSC for them to review it and basically sign off on it. Those are really the really big pieces. Steve, did I miss anything? That's pretty much it? If that's, yeah.
Okay, so from the bill as introduced to the bill as is sitting before you with these amendments, the main piece that we struck is under what would have been C3. That is the main piece that we struck. So as introduced, there would have been this ratepayer cost recovery prohibition on any employee bonus. That is, that you did not need to be a supervisor. Any employee bonus above what was previously a lower threshold would not be recoverable, okay? There were some exceptions for that. That was the union versus non-union conversation that was going on. That was tied to that provision about employee bonuses. So we struck both of those pieces. So what's left is supervisor compensation above 110% of the PSC chair salary, again, about $250,000 annually. That's what's left in the bill for purposes of a prohibition on ratepayer cost recovery. So just to clarify where we are now versus what we were discussing at the hearing.
And the reason we did that is because the utilities, as you can probably remember from the original hearing, they had concerns about, for example, BG&E had concerns about a certain number of employees here, a certain number of employees that were union, weren't union, and that was, one of their requests, so.
Okay, further discussion on the amendments. Delegate Naraki wants to tell us about the amendment of his that we included in the package.
I had a question, but I don't want to talk about, I'm glad that is in there. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And maybe this is for Steve, maybe it's for you, Mr. Subcommittee Chair. Do we know kind of now with these changes that we've made with this amendment, what ratepayers may see on their bill? Like, what has anyone given us, like BG or anyone, like kind of given us new data as to how that may impact someone's utility bill? I know they gave us a number originally, but this is somewhat substantial, this change here. It does change the equation a little bit here, so I'm just curious what that number looks like now. Do we know? If we don't, that's okay too.
Yeah, we don't know exactly. We've done some back of the, because it's all happening quickly, we've done some back of the napkin math, and it could be anywhere from 50 to $100 million a year in ratepayer savings. It just depends on exactly what, what their bills are. It depends on exactly who's classified. So we don't know exactly.
Okay. That's fine. I just wasn't sure if we got anything new. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Delegate Odom.
Yes, for my clarity, prior to any acceptance of these amendments or bills, currently there is no restriction. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. That was all my question. Just make sure.
I mean, I should say the PSC has some authority to look at what is being proposed to be included in the rates, but there is nothing in the statute that prohibits any kind of limits. The PSC has its authority through the rate case process, which they talked about a little bit in their testimony, but this would be the first time in statute that there would be a limit like this.
Thank you.
Delegate Foley. Oh, I'm sorry, there is an exception to that. Last year in the Next Generation Energy Act, we did ban private air travel and a couple of other things from being included. I don't consider those compensation necessarily, so I'm not sure that was in keeping with your question, but that is something the legislature's previously done on a similar kind of issue. Delegate Foley?
Mr. Chair, are we into debate now, or are we just questions?
We're just working on the amendments.
Okay. In the spirit of, I really support this bill, and I want to thank the subcommittee for their work on the bill. I think you made it a better bill. But I also want to say that, kind of following up on Delegate Naraki's question, yes, obviously we want to save ratepayers money. I assume we're going to have more legislation coming before this committee that will do that. But in addition to whatever savings there are, I just want to say that I think it is wrong to pass the cost of bonuses on to ratepayers, especially at this time when electric bills are so high. So I just wanted to go on the record as saying that, and I fully support this bill. Thank you.
Great. Any further discussion on the amendments? Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a reprint of the committee amendments. Did we keep in the portion about defining a supervisor responsible for responding to employee complaints, directing the work performance of others? Is that still in the bill? Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on the subcommittee amendments? All in favor of the amendments, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed to the amendments? Okay, amendments pass. Are there any further amendments? Delegate Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one amendment. I believe council has it. It just in the interest of, delivering these savings to the ratepayer and delivering them as soon as possible. My amendment is very short. We're striking the word October and replacing it with June, so we can get these savings to the ratepayer as soon as possible. June 1. June 1.
So just for clarity, Delegate Allen, your amendment changes the effective date of the bill.
Correct.
Okay.
Move the amendment, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? Delegate Morgan.
Delegate Allen, could you explain to me, when you change the date, does that give the utilities time to properly prepare? Since we're moving this up to just, it'll get signed by the governor, you want to move it up real fast. Will the utilities have time to react to do all the things that the bill asks for in the meantime? Are you that simple?
Delegate Allen.
I think to stop playing. Yes, I believe it'll still give plenty of time. That's 6 months from now, but also it gives the PSC a chance to review these asks when the utility companies bring it to them.
So I'm on tape. First time this year. There'll be more boys and girls, don't worry. I understand where you're coming from today. My question now becomes, it has to go to the Senate, it has to get passed by the Senate. Say the Senate doesn't move on this till, say, March or April. I'm just trying to make sure that with the substantive changes that we're asking for, allowing those regulated utilities time to properly prepare for the advent of what we're proposing.
And I understand. Again, I consider it to be enough time, and I also consider time to be of the essence for the ratepayers to whom we're trying to bring these savings.
Thank you.
So thank you, Delegate Allen. Let me just note that this would apply to pending rate cases or rate cases in the future. It does not apply to the current rates. So BG&E's current rates can continue to do this. It's just when they go in for their next rate case that this would apply. So you don't need time for that, right? BG&E controls when they're going to go in for a rate case. It's not on a fixed basis. And then the part about setting the guidelines, that's actually not tied to a specific time period, so they have to do it, but it doesn't actually say do it on the effective date, right? So they should have plenty of time to put together a reasonable policy. Delegate Long, did you have something you want to add? Okay. Any further discussion on Delegate Allen's amendment? Amendment's been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed to the amendment? Okay, amendment passes. Any further amendments? Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the indulgence. I have an amendment. It was emailed out. It's 243929. I want to talk about just kind of how I feel about the bill. I talked with the amendment office about the bill for a good bit of time yesterday. And by nature, when you define something in law, you limit it. So we talked about the bill briefly in the hearing. And it was quite hard to quantify what the bill actually does. The gentleman from the PSC noted they already have the authority to do this. And purportedly, the purpose of the bill was to, in some way, shape, or form, prohibit these costs from being passed on to the ratepayer. I think if we pass this, we're likely to actually do the opposite. And I see that we're struggling to quantify how this bill limits these costs being passed on to the ratepayer. But if the PSC already has this authority, and we have the example, the gentleman from the PSC said, you know, an example of how this limits the application is it excludes unions. I think by passing the bill and defining what can be passed through, we're likely limiting the authority of the PSC to do so. So I wanted to take an opportunity and figure out ways we could actually use this section of code to reduce rates for consumers, and I thought about what I'm hearing about in my email. And what I'm hearing about is how folks have, they view BGE as a monopoly. And I don't think that's factually accurate, but they don't have any other options in the market right now. 2 years ago, we passed Senate Bill 1, and while it was defined as consumer protection, the result is that all the competition in that market was chased out. And that's why you and I receive lots of letters from our constituents who are being notified that their provider no longer exists, and they're seeing increases in their rates from that directly. So what this amendment does is it adds language which repeals a good portion of what was passed in Senate Bill 1 of 2024 in an effort to try and reestablish some competition in that market and restore the ability for those providers to come back in, create a little competition, and reduce cost in a small way. And I think, as we've talked about this, there are short-term options for reducing rates, there are medium-term, intermediate options for reducing rates, and long-term options for reducing rates. And one thing I feel strongly about is this is a pretty short-term option for reducing rates that we could bring these competitors back into the market. And for me, you know, I'm in the BGE area, I'm in the Baltimore region. You know, our people were really hurt by this. So that's the purpose of the amendment. That's what it does. And I think as far as solutions go, this is part of the short-term fix for what is most assuredly a multi-pronged problem. And I would move the amendment.
Thank you, Delegate Grammer, and also thank you for sharing a copy ahead of time. Really appreciate the courtesy. Is there a second on the amendment? Okay, any discussion on the amendment? Chair Fraser-Hidalgo.
Thank you. Again, Delegate Grammer, thank you for bringing the amendment to our attention. What I would say is that I think it's important to realize that when SB 1 was originally passed, it was because there were many, many, many bad actors in the markets that were basically robbing people. So I've received those same phone calls. I've fielded many of them. And when I explain to my constituents what the reality is, not what's going on out in the ether and not what people are spreading, but the reality of it, the conversations ended, oh my God, thank you so much. So with that said, I'm not saying that we shouldn't at some point revisit SB 1, but what I will say is that it's really completely separate of this bill. There are going to be many bills this session to help bring down the cost for ratepayers, both short-term, medium, and long-term. And I can imagine that there's probably going to be some other bills that are a direct repeal of SB 1 and or in an ancillary way doing so. But in this particular case, I think these are kind of fairly different pieces of subject matter, and that concept would be better fit as a standalone bill or perhaps part of another bill. So I would ask the body to resist this amendment for those reasons and more, but I don't want to spend the afternoon here, so.
Further discussion, amendment, Delegate Grammer.
I appreciate that. But as the gentleman from District 8 said, I think there's no speed too quick to bring some relief to ratepayers here. And I agree 100% that the purported goal of SB 1 was consumer protection. But as all of our ratepayers know, what resulted was the complete elimination of competition and a complete monopoly from the viewpoint of the ratepayer. So, I feel strongly about this. This is something we could tie directly to statute. I'm not on the Energy Subcommittee, so I didn't have an opportunity to really dig my teeth into the amendment itself, but I feel it's worthwhile and it's something we could do in the short term.
Vice Chair Guyton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Delegate Grammer, for bringing this up. I don't disagree with a lot of what you are suggesting here. I do think there need to be some tweaks to Senate Bill 1, but I also think that those conversations are ongoing and will be ongoing, and that those changes deserve a full hearing and not to be thrown into an amendment at this time when we have limited opportunity to hear testimony and to really debate them. So I thank you for the effort. I believe that we'll look at this issue again this session, probably fairly soon. I don't think this is the way to do it, though, and that's why I will not be voting for the amendment.
Delegate Stein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just basically echo what the subcommittee chair said. There were, the SB1 was in response to a lot of bad actors ripping off ratepayers who were in the retail energy market. And so SB1 was, in large response, my understanding, a response and trying to protect consumers from being ripped off. Now, in the process, it seems like it's driven out the good actors as well. So the challenge is trying to figure out a balance to bring the good actors back in while keeping the bad actors out. I just don't know what that is, and would think that it probably, well, the intention of your amendment sounds good. It would warrant a fairly detailed review of the amendment language. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Nay. All right, can you lift your eyes, lift your arms back up? You got to record this, Trish, or somebody. Jay, you're in favor of the amendment, right? Yeah. Yep. Jacobs, Baker, Grammer, Naraki, Morgan. We got to remember our yays and nays, everybody. Delegate Stein, do you have a question?
No. In accident. There we
Great.
go. Okay.
On the bill? Any further discussion on the bill? All right. All right. Bill as amended has been moved and seconded. We'll do a roll call.
Mr. Chair, very quickly, we did do the pile-up?
We just do that after the bill. It's just it's ministerial. We're going to do a roll call, Trish. Is that all right? Sure. All right, go ahead.
Delegate Frazier Hidalgo?
Yes.
Delegate Lewis? Yes. Delegate Jacobs? No. Delegate Holmes is excused. Delegate Healy? Aye. Delegate Long?
I vote aye.
Delegate Baker?
Nay.
Delegate Allen?
Yes.
Delegate Grammer?
No.
Delegate Odom?
Yes.
Anderson excused. Delegate Baylor?
Yes.
Delegate Naraki? No. Delegate Morgan?
No.
Delegate Ziegler?
Yes.
Delegate Foley?
Yes.
Delegate Boyce?
Yes.
Delegate Stein?
Yes.
Okay, bill passes. Please raise your hand if you'd like to be added as a co-sponsor to the bill. We have Vice Chair Guyton, Chair Frazier Hidalgo, Delegate Lewis, Delegate Healy, Delegate Long, Delegate Allen, Delegate Odom, Delegate Baylor, Delegate Foley, and Delegate Stein. Can you repeat them?
Yes, sir. Vice Chair Guyton, Delegate Hidalgo, Delegate Lewis, Delegate Healy, Delegate Long, Delegate Allen, Delegate Odom, Delegate Baylor, Delegate Foley, Delegate Stein.
All right, everybody good? Okay. We have one other bill, which is House Bill 190. As I explained, this is simply a re-referral. We are not voting on the substance of House Bill 190. It is supposed to be in the new home of housing, or possibly the new home of local government, I should say, in the LEGO committee or the GLEE committee or whatever we're calling it. So I would move to re-refer House Bill 190.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. thank you all for anyone want to pile on as a co-sponsor to the bill? Thank you all for the great work this week, and have a great weekend.